The doctor's eyes creaked open, the taste of blood bringing back memories of the night before. Caught again, hands clutching his sonic tightly as batons bombarded his body. The doctor's fine suit was torn in places. His neck ached with the evidence of a rough sleep. The doctor found himself slouched in a chair, arms in cuffs behind the back of it. The scent of rust and decay oozed into every new scar. Pain shot through the doctor's arms, an all too familiar wake-up. Some things never change. In front of him sat a table, bolted to the floor and covered with scratches coated by thousands of previous occupants of the room. The faintest remains of a canine tooth lay embedded in a spot the doctor could lean over. He spat blood at the closest wall, the only colour it likely ever had. At the top of that wall, a light outside shone through a smudged pane glass window, half open to let a bitter breeze snake through it. The light touched most of the room, leaving presumably the entrance coated in shadow. His room stretched into darkness like sand into the ocean. Leaning back, the doctor sighed deeply. Something bathed in wine and grime grew closer. With a grin, the doctor whistled, bearing himself through the searing pain on his cheeks. "Kindly refrain from doing that," came a voice that looked down on him. "It is still quite late, you know." "I had guessed." He wiped the blood off his teeth with his tongue. "A simple invite would have done the job." "You have been taken into custody? One does not get an invite when they have been arrested." The doctor scoffed. "Into custody? What for? Daring to visit this planet?" The stranger chuckled. "You are no mere visitor. You are the doctor." "So I'm an experienced visitor. It still gives you no right to take me into a rather dingy police station. Does the great new Tempest City not have the budget for a better standard of building? This isn't a police station. Make no mistake, you are under arrest, but by a much higher authority than the police." The darkness birthed the figure. His pale form strode to a chair on the other side of the table. Dull hair swayed as he walked until he gracefully took his seat. Arms folded onto the table, his green, piercing eyes looked onto the doctor. "Good evening, Doctor. I trust you are enjoying your stay on Vetus." The doctor struggled to meet his glare, twisting his arm to force himself to not look away. "I've had kinder greetings, but I've also had worse. It seems I just can't find a respite from such unfortunate side effects of society." The stranger scowled. "You've more than earned your greeting, Doctor." "There must be a mistake. I have not been to Vetus before." His words died away as he spoke. "Time." The doctor, the face changer. "One day, you came to Vetus, and you brought chaos in your wake. Saving it from something worse, no doubt." The stranger slapped the doctor, but the Time Lord forced his gaze to remain on his interrogator. "My apologies," the stranger composed himself. "That was poor form. You are here because your punishment has been decided. How long has it been for you? How long has Vetus waited for me to show up again?" "Centuries." He slipped a card from his sleeve with the same arm's hand. It landed in front of the doctor, slanted. With a tilt of his head, he read it out loud. "Abraham Saiter, Humanoid Resources." The doctor scoffed. "Sounds like a fancy name for someone who does next to nothing." "Times are changing. People like to know that there is someone looking out for them at work. In this case, the estate that hired me could greatly benefit from your help." The doctor straightened himself, embracing the pain to wake him up. "This leads us back to a simple invite." Blood dripped from the edges of his frown. Abraham glared at him, biting the inside of his lip before shaking his head. He clicked his fingers, summoning the lights from the rest of the room. The far end of the room lit up, showing it painted with sketches of the doctor to the point where several overlapped larger ones. Prices among them spanned languages, currency, and ranged from humbling to insultingly low. Even the door, only noticeable due to a solid bronze handle, melded with the wall's macabre tribute of the Doctor. Their features changed from picture to picture, the most common one being a blonde-haired young man the Doctor didn't recognize. "I'm impressed." The Doctor cast the questions from his mind, being sure to keep the room from slipping through his bound hands. "Who did you say hired you for this punishment, then?" Abraham breathed deeply. The two sat in a standoff, with the Doctor leaving his question in the air while his host stared him down with an incredibly sharp glare. Passing seconds shrank the room. The Doctor felt a new weight on his chest the longer he kept his watering eyes locked onto Abraham's deep ones. The dancing flames tricked his mind. For a moment he saw the veins on the man's neck pulsate. With reluctance, the Doctor, the most wanted Time Lord in the universe, broke away from Abraham's gaze. He leaned back and closed his eyes. "All right, I understand your client is private then. What do you want me to do, and what do I get?" Relief punctured the man's stern tone. "A pardon. In exchange for your help in the matter, the High Vita's Paradigm have agreed to pardon you for the destruction you were involved with. You can have your blue box back and leave Vitas at your own leisure. I do suggest visiting the old theatre in the centre of the city, though. It is quite the experience." When the Doctor looked back, the man's shallow eyes regarded him with interest. In response, he shuffled in discomfort. "We are past the point of pleasantries, Mr. Saito. What do you want me to do?" Abraham hummed. "I want you to liberate someone from a house just outside of the city." "It all depends on whether this person is aware of the liberating." He chuckled sadly. "He is not aware, but he will be very grateful for the assistance." "What makes you think he is in the house?" Abraham's tone became low, echoing in the room. "I know he is there. He should be where he belongs, but the owner of the estate wishes to be difficult." The Doctor's response shook before gaining its composure. "Is the owner a friend of yours?" Abraham groaned. He stood up slowly before walking to the wall of the Doctor's past and future achievements. His footsteps owned the room, taking advantage of each beat that struck the Doctor's hearts. Despite the man being a distance away, the Time Lord heard his breathing as clear as a crow at midnight. Abraham clapped his hands, bringing the Doctor back to attention. The man surveyed the wall as he spoke. "With your skills, you should be able to avoid the owner. If, by some unfortunate turn of events, you do find yourself in her presence, then we are confident you can enlighten her." The Doctor's stomach tightened. "I trust you mean diffuse the situation with my natural charm?" "I am no executioner." Abraham let the silence fall. He stumbled to continue. Hopefully it should not come to that. You should just find the child and get out. I shall have a team outside waiting for you." The Doctor felt his heart crash to the ground. "A child?" Abraham turned, eyebrow raised, an injection of concern in his manner. "Yes, a child." "Lead with that next time," the Doctor growled. "Stupid people like you always think you need to beat me within an inch of regeneration for me to do something, but you always forget that no matter what face I have, I'm here to help." "We shall see about that, my friend." "Don't call me that." Fury lay tangled in Doctor's words. Try as he may, he failed to remove it as he continued. "You have my pictures, you know my stories, even if just on a surface level. Tell me, after the chaos I brought to Vitas, was there peace?" Abraham rushed to the table, slamming his fist down on it. He paused. With a deep breath, he stood straight, cleared his throat, and replied calmly, "Those days have been and gone. Let us live in the present." "Then why aren't you doing it yourself? Why wait for me to happen to be here?" "They saw an opportunity." Abraham looked away. He mumbled to himself rapidly in his home tongue. While the Doctor picked the odd word out, they quickly blurred into ones too swift to actually make a sentence. He breathed a deep, shuddering breath. The Doctor caught the ancient glint in Abraham's eye. In a flash, he pulled another card from his sleeve, this one gleaming in the light of the lamps with a brilliant golden sheen. He flicked it onto the table. It landed perfectly onto the other card, the word invitation embedded into the card with fine silver silk. My way in. Abraham nodded before moving behind the doctor's chair, whose hands wiggled and writhed as the stranger toyed around with the cuffs. The scent of a dripping forest wafted to the doctor's nose. Madam Agatha Papyrus has been permitted to show a group of selected people around the manor, historical types mostly, but it will provide enough of an excuse for you to go looking for the child. Who is this owner anyway? With a snap, his wrists launched to his chest, red rings around them, blood trickling to the surface of his skin in places. He did his best to present himself through the searing pain, but could not help but soak in the free movement by slumping onto the table. A dozen daggers pierced his back again and again until he threw his body to its feet. Under Abraham's quizzical gaze, the doctor stretched, still feeling the cuffs weighing down his arms, clutching the pulsating sting and burying it deep. I don't know. Glad to hear you are well informed. The lady has gone through a variety of names. She lost contact with my client some time ago, so you'll forgive me if my information is not up to date. From my understanding, you have gone into situations with less information, have you not? The doctor grumbled. That is true. Is there anything else I should know before you throw me into the proverbial deep end? Abraham's hand slithered into his other sleeve, pulling out a small, sleek key and holding it out for the doctor. I'd prefer you at your peak, but for now we would like you to rest in a nearby inn. In room 214 you'll find medical supplies. In the morning, you will go to the manor. The doctor steeled himself. Why not now? If I go while she's asleep, beaten or not, it will be easier to search the manor. Anywhere else, that would be the best plan. However, the owner is more active at night. We find your best opportunity will be in the morning. The doctor sneered. So you want me to let the child stay there a bit longer? Defeat laced Abraham's words. I want to live in a world where I do not have to ask anyone's help in this matter. That is, coincidentally, the same world where this boy is playing with his friends in the street, happy and free. Neither of us likes it, but I am certain that the boy will be safe until the morning. You need at least some rest anyway. The doctor pushed the door open with his shoulder, hands busy getting a feel of the pristine suitcase Abraham had seen fit to give him. The weight of it shifted as he swung it back and forth, clattering against something else. Its scraping betrayed its near-empty contents. A bed sat at the end of the room, tucked in the corner under a misused rusting lamp. A box lay on top of the pillows. The familiar yet all too ignored symbol of the medical cross was engraved on the side of it. He scoffed. The doctor flung the suitcase onto the frail desk to his side, the legs on it trembling from the impact. He let the echo of the contents linger in his ears while he stood cloaked in the musky calm of the hotel's corridor. 2 items, no doubt, crept into the doctor's mind. The suitcase held 2 things for his use, 2 gifts from Mr. Saiter. The desk's chair splintered against the wood as the doctor pulled it out. Taking his seat, he flicked the suitcase open, scowling with disappointment. The barrel of a pistol eyed him. Its squat shape sat uncomfortably on grey parchment. The shredded bottom of the paper betrayed the dagger beneath. The doctor slipped the note out from the weapon's grip. Dear Doctor, I thank you for agreeing to help me in this matter. We'll have to act fast, but we can do this. Once you find the boy, just kick the door open and stroll out. It will be that easy. If you are in the manor after the sun sets, then you will need to keep hidden until it rises. Use these weapons well. Again, thank you. Abraham Saiter. Picking up the blade, the doctor allowed his fingers to dance along the handle of the dagger. He dropped it back into the suitcase and shut the lid. The doctor felt around in his own pocket. He smiled as the cold metal of his sonic met his fingertips, warming his heart. With footsteps fading into existence, he sighed, easing himself up to the closed door carefully. He kept his hands on the door time after the steps had disappeared again. Behind him, the piercing quiet of night came through the window. It bit at his ears. He looked out to the night, slumping down from the door to the floor. Time ticked by while the doctor still ached, but a child sat thinking no one was coming to save him. Crisp, cold and cutting, the midnight wind howled through the long grass that greeted the doctor at the manor. A vast field carpeted his way to the building, whatever path once there barely visible under a long stretch of worn grass that replaced it. Gates like prison bars grew on the horizon. Under the moonlight they transcended mere metal, their twists and curves rising with each cloud that dared part light even a little, creating the sense of a living pair of jaws waiting for the Doctor. The Time Lord straightened his long coat. He strode ahead, trying to claim control again, but the question of his future self threatened to strangle him. The Doctor distracted himself from a future dread with a future hope of the child. A bitter breeze became his companion for the night. The closer he came to the lock of the gate, the clearer the shape that paced in front of him became. A young lady, old enough to know passion but not the fury it can bring, muttered to herself too quickly for the Doctor to decipher. As he made his way through the long grass, shrinking himself as to be but a gentle rustle of the fields, he homed in on the shine from a checkered medallion strung around her neck. A crack. The Doctor stopped, his heart snapping to attention. She looked his way. Behind the grass, she stared blankly towards him. In that moment, the Doctor saw the moon once more, its very essence reflected in her eyes. They swiftly moved from his direction to the clipboard that she clutched so attentively to herself. She would take a moment before continuing to mumble, sometimes letting one hand drift from the board to point at something on the gate. Before the Doctor could continue, the young lady, doing her best to add authority to her rosy cheeks and simple hair, stood straight up to project her voice to the loudest whisper.
These gates were originally built for Duke Granshaw over 100 years ago, but the architect lost them in a poker game just 2 nights after they were finished.
She looked back to her clipboard.
Pause for laughter, then someone will probably ask me if it's true. Okay.
The lady coughed, regaining the harsh whisper.
It is well documented, and an artist was even commissioned to create this vision of the night. The painting can now be found above the fireplace of Duchess Sharon's manor.
As she let out a deep sigh, her ears pricked to attention and she dropped her board. The Doctor left the grass with a smile on his face, filling the air with his slow clapping. That was very well done. Am I to assume I stand in the presence of Madame Agatha Papyrus?
Have we met, sir?
The Doctor dug in his pocket before swiping the invitation in front of her eyes. Not yet, but we will have tomorrow. I am Dr. John Smith. Sorry to intrude, but I was just fascinated by what I heard of the manor.
Oh?
Of course, I have a fascination with old structures. I find that the best parts are the least obvious.
Less obvious, sir?
The facts that are little known. For example, the old secrets of the manor. Not a lot is known about the history of the house, correct? She smirked mischievously.
I guess you'll have to see tomorrow then.
Her eyes widened as she examined him closer.
By the gods! Are you all right?
I am quite all right. A hazard of my work is that I am often left with little time to fully clean myself up after a day at the office. For a moment, Agatha's expression wrestled with itself, eyes steeped in confusion, and a smile uneasily cracking on her face.
What do you do?
The Doctor tapped his nose. Now, you have your secrets, I have mine. Agatha leaned back on the gates.
I must say, I'm impressed. Whatever it was, it doesn't seem to have dampened your spirits. Were you in town for the manor?
After a nod, she continued.
I am glad my invite's got someone such as yourself. I'll admit, you've caught me going over tomorrow's tour.
The Doctor peered through the gate bars. Only the outlines of the trenches that scarred the earth parallel with each other made themselves known in the pitch black. The moonlight ran from the courtyard, illuminating the Doctor for comfort. He tried to focus his gaze, to pierce through the darkness to the front of the manor itself, but tore his eyes away to Agatha's soft features. Is that the actual front of the manor? He asked. She nodded.
It is, but the door is hard to spot at night.
A shame, really. I would so love to have seen the outside closer. How old the architecture must be.
Oh, very!
Agatha chirped.
It is over 200 years old. Built for the original owner after he won a duel, but decided to spare his opponent's life.
Perhaps you could show me it up close. She thought for a moment.
I suppose a small peek wouldn't hurt. We can use the old servants' entrance.
She gestured for him to follow, leading down one of the corners of the gates at a good 10 minutes' walk from the front. The wind blew against the long grass, knocking into something concealed there. Agatha pushed it aside. A set of wooden doors sat angled above the ground. They mimicked cellar doors on some country houses the Doctor had found himself running through on other planets. Agatha tossed the doors open, instantly showing a flickering light inside. The doctor looked down. A ladder rested on the wall leading to a tunnel lit by a cacophony of different torches. Mud, solid and old, armoured the edges of the ladder, traded in as steel shined for all Earth's worth. Agatha stood back from it.
It's not been used in a while, but the owner said she liked to keep it lit in case anyone needed shelter from the rain.
That's quite considerate of her. Is she often like that? The hostess paused.
I am not sure, truthfully. I've only met her once to discuss touring her home.
Is she not the social type? Agatha swung herself onto the ladder, continuing her account while climbing down the steps, the creaking so much louder in the night.
Perhaps, once in her youth. She did make a lovely cup of tea for someone who prefers to keep to herself.
The doctor began to follow. Will we get to meet her on the tour, or will we have to make do without her? She jumped off one of the last steps.
She only allows me to show visitors around if we stay away from her private quarters.
The tunnel at the bottom stretched into darkness, torches blowing dimmer with each meter until the tunnel's path sharpened to a point in the black. Quite cosy, the doctor remarked, allowing the thought to be steeped in sarcasm but the voice pure. Agatha plucked a torch from the wall.
I'm glad you feel that way.
They strolled through the corridor, now illuminated by Agatha's torch. The dark dissolved to show a door. Dirt encrusted with the barest flakes of whatever paint it once wore, still wallowing in amidst the scratches and splinters. A short journey, muttered the doctor.
It should take us to a similar ladder under the courtyard. Would you like to do the honours?
The doctor nodded. He pushed open the door, the hinges sending a hardened screech through the tunnel. The pair found the dark once more, although with a new companion, the deep smell of damp, fruity wood. When Agatha directed her torch, it brought them to a squat room layered with barrels, some leaking their contents. Shelves of bottles lined the walls, dust too thick to let the bright flame of the torch touch the glass. The doctor and Agatha made their way through the barrels, slipping through the gaps as best they could. The Time Lord spied the words blurred by time on the bottles. He narrowed his gaze. It took a moment for the writing to translate itself. The Dukes of Sanguis will rise.
It's an old phrase, I believe,
explained Agatha.
It will be a lovely note for the tour.
The doctor raised an eyebrow. This is a lot of wine for one person. Agatha giggled.
So much to find this evening. I am glad you decided to come early.
Brushing past his hostess, the doctor nudged the door open, but that was all that it needed. The door hinges, nothing more than a mouse whisper, let the wood slip from its grasp. It swung open onto a stairwell that curled against the tall tower it nestled in. Some way up, the hostess stopped. In one carefree shrug, she tossed the torch down the centre of the staircase, taking a moment to whistle until it smashed to the ground. As the light faded, so did the doctor's patience. What are you doing? He felt a finger touch his lips as Agatha shushed him. Crackling flame eclipsed the doctor's protests. Peering up, he caught the outline of a new door, light leaking in from whatever awaited the pair on the other side.
I may have been quite wrong about the servants' entrance, whispered
Agatha. Saito stood outside the inn room's door, hand raised ready to knock. His dry throat bound him to the spot in a conflict with his sense of decency. As the maid's footsteps broke through his thoughts, he pondered if he should just leave the doctor alone. It is best to let him think. His heart pounded with an ever-growing drumbeat. His records don't lie, the doctor will do fine without your help. Abraham's hand began to lower. Quench your thirst. It has been some time since you last relaxed on a starry night. He stomped his foot, the force sending his fist to the door. Doctor, I wish to speak with you. No reply. I wanted to apologize profusely for my earlier manner. Recently I found myself in a rather... He found the strength to mutter the last words. Low place. While you are being punished, you, like any individual, has the right to a trial and full elaboration of your crimes. Abraham sighed, turning away from the door. The owner? I don't know much about her, but I trust you know we should not waste time trying to look into her. If the two of us think carefully, we should get the boy out unharmed. Silence. Abraham's eyes widened. His hand hurried to his pockets, frantically searching for his key. Memories of the meeting caught up with him, and he checked he was alone in the corridor before launching towards the handle. Abraham's suitcase sat on the bed, the window wide open into the night. That amazing moron. Perhaps I should have just escorted him to the room, sitting out here like a dog for an arrogant cat. He paused, ears searching for the steps of a newcomer. Nothing. Abraham streamed his thoughts to another objective. He licked his lips. Mr. Saito took in the sweet aroma of perfume down the corridor, the faint traces of bottles clashing, betraying the way to the inn's bar. Abraham groaned. A quick drink to keep my strength up and then straight to the manor before he gets himself into more trouble. The cat curled up by the flames, unperturbed by a fireplace big enough to fit a standing cow. Above it hung the picture of an ancient woman. Her dull eyes followed the doctor where he stepped. Hair did not rest easily against her shoulders. Instead, it tolerated its presence, shredded strands keeping a slight distance above it. She sat in a rocking chair, patched together from an unknown amount of previous furniture, no two patches the same shade. Her squat face grew wrinkles in abundance. The painting itself surveyed the room in its entirety. From the round table in the middle, surrounded by a sofa, to the glass chandelier decorated with the translucent shapes of dancers twinkling with the blaze. A checkerboard lined the floor, its blacks so deep the doctor felt like his hand could slip into one. Agatha frantically examined the room, always glancing back to the door they came through. The doctor's chuckle broke her harsh breathing. I must say, this is quite the sight to behold. You should be thankful you were wrong. Mistakes can lead to discovery. She bounded over to him, hands failing to keep still.
You don't understand, Dr. Smith. I was told that the entrance led to the courtyard by the owner herself.
Could it be that she was mistaken, or perhaps just lying for her own amusement? She looked about until she spotted the grand double doors on the side of the room, standing ajar to the sound of a twittering bird. Agatha breathed deeply.
I should go find the owner before we're discovered and arrested as trespassers. Once I explain what happened, she will find it a simple misunderstanding and maybe tell it as a story sometime.
The doctor nodded. A good idea. Who doesn't like a news story to tell over drinks? We should each take a different direction in the manor. One of us should be able to find her and explain the situation. Agatha cupped her hands together.
You should stay here. If the fire is still going then, she may be coming back to the room. It would also calm my nerves greatly if I knew where you were.
He hid his grin behind a bow. Then I shall do my best to make you feel better by staying here. With this cat, I should at least still be in good company. The cat scampered through the open door.
Thank you,
said Agatha.
I shouldn't be long.
Once she stepped outside the room, the doctor's grin dropped. The bird sang distantly from somewhere above. He began to walk around the circumference, grasping at any sound that didn't suit the room. The ever-present cackling of the fire overshadowed anything that could have helped. The doctor knelt down. He peered through the flames, gaze narrowing at the sight. With a deep sigh, he pulled his long coat close to him before leaping through the blaze, putting aside the searing heat to fuel his task. He plucked his sonic out of his pocket, casting aside the coat to burn the corner. The doctor found himself in a new area. He stood on a hatch. It gleamed behind the fireplace sadly. He stepped off to bend down. Tapping it let out a dull, low echo. Satisfaction coursing through him, the doctor opened it to reveal the drop onto a wooden floor beneath. 2 idents marked its constant use. On his landing, he rolled away from the opening. The fire's light reached down where he was, adding a touch of the wider world. The doctor pulled himself up straight, feeling each part of him cry out for a swift end to the night, preferably with a cup of tea. Beyond the hole, no exit came to him. The smell hit him first, its musky odorousness shocking his system awake. Smaller than any room he had discovered that evening, its only decor lay in a bundle of rags cowering in the corner. He whistled, stopping himself when he did not hear an echo. The pile in the corner began to squirm, letting out a high whining. The doctor let its regrettably familiar sound pierce through him. No man or woman went their life without making that sound. The rags dropped away, letting an eye, frantic and wide, peer out to him. The doctor smiled. He did his best to straighten himself up past his beaten exterior. The doctor crouched down to the rustling rags. It is all right. My name is the doctor. What is yours? He extended a hand and waited. His legs started to ask for rest, but his mind denied them. Slowly, the rags toppled as the boy cautiously came out. Dirt clung to him tightly, caking his clothes along with hiding his green skin. Pools of orange made up his eyes that surveyed the room. He took the hand.
Gregory Pavlo.
The boy muttered. Such a well-mannered lad. How long have you been down here? Gregory didn't reply. The doctor chirped himself up, regretting that this incarnation didn't do bubbly better. Best not to think about it too much, as it won't really be relevant shortly. Gregory pointed a shaky finger skywards.
How will we get up there?
The doctor stood tall, being sure that it was his best in-control stance. The edge of the hatch sat 10 feet above the floor. The doctor rubbed his chin before examining the room. This would be easier if I travelled with someone.
Can you take me home?
The doctor gazed down at the boy. Gregory shuddered as the doctor reached to pat his head. His eyes quivered, holding back tears. From the lines across Gregory's face, it was something they failed at.
I want to go home and sleep without nightmares.
The doctor nodded. The right thing to say would have been that he would never have nightmares again. He bit his cheek. I will get you out of here, he declared. You will get home and you will be safe with your family. The doctor shook his head. He tried to speak again, but the pile of rags caught his attention once more. Clarity struck him. He clicked his tongue. Gregory, how well can you tie a knot? The boy looked back at the bundle.
Quite well, sir.
Sir? Oh, you and I will get on quite well. The doctor darted towards the pile, grabbing 2 random pieces and tying the ends together. Now, young man, if we can tie something long together, I can jump up the hatch and lower it down for you.
Really?
A flicker of hope lit in Gregory's voice. The doctor winked. Why, of course. I was a cat once, and a cat's greatest skills is jumping. That was an odd incarnation. A chuckle emerged in Gregory's hoarse throat. For a moment, the child sat next to the doctor, eyes tracing each action he did. Then his hands moved to mimic the doctor's. Gregory cautiously clutched a pair of rags and began tying them together, gaining speed as successful knots went on. A sharp, smoky hiss came from above, the light swiftly leaving the two to the damp dark. Gregory gasped, flinging himself to the doctor's side. His breathing became shallow and harsh. He tightened his grip on the cloth in hand, burying his head into the doctor's shoulder. The Time Lord's eyes adjusted, making out the shape of someone at the edge of the hole. They pulled away before a rope dropped across the side. It dangled in front of the doctor, as thick as his fist.
What was that?
Gregory squeaked. The doctor hummed. Someone up there is being very nice and dropped down a rope for us. He tried to move, but the boy held him still.
Don't the lady likes to play games?
Does she now? Quieten down, came a loud whisper. We don't have much time. The doctor felt the paradoxical mix of annoyance and relief at the sound of Abraham's voice. He turned to Gregory. Listen, he muttered. This is the man who sent me to come find you. He is here to help. The boy lifted his head.
Promise?
I promise. Guiding the boy's hands to the rope, the doctor helped him to climb up, raising him up higher even to grab Abraham's arm. With the boy safely up, signalled by a somewhat satisfying sputtering of pain noises from Mr. Saiter, the doctor himself stepped back to clear his mind. With a spring-like jump and help from the rope, he gripped the edge of the hole before heaving himself up. The three crawled through the now smouldering fireplace, the men dusting themselves off as soon as they stood on the other side. Gregory looked around the room and back to the ashes multiple times, eyes lingering less on the entrance each time. Finally, he rushed to the doctor to give him a hug. The Time Lord felt the words
Thank you
against him. He hesitated before patting the boy on the head. The doctor turned to Abraham. Where did you find the rope? With a flick of the wrist, the gentleman pulled out a dagger from his sleeve. That, my friend, is the bad news. It was laid out here along with a bucket of water. The boy is right. Someone would like to play.
Are we going to be alright, sirs?
Gregory gazed up with wide eyes. Of course we will, the doctor swiftly answered. If she is playing a game, I will just have to break her rules then. Is that not right, Mr. Saiter? Abraham glanced at the boy, eyes pleaded to the both of them. He averted his own, but replied, That is quite right, Doctor. So then, the doctor placed a hand on Abraham's shoulder, adding to the pressure of each word. Now, I am very thankful for your quick save, and for you actually doing something about Gregory being trapped here, but I am going to ask you this once, and I will get a simple answer from you. Abraham twinged, though kept his posture straight. Ask away, but please do it quickly. Is there anything about the owner that you, in your apparent lack of wisdom, forgot to actually tell me? Mr. Siter sighed with a shudder. Nothing I forgot to tell you, but there was something I left out. It wouldn't happen to involve what a sanguinus is, would it? Mr. Siter nodded. The owner is a creature like no other. If she finds us, she will... He looked down at Gregory. Amidst the stare of his sparkling eyes, Abraham shrugged the doctor's hand off and gestured for them both to follow as he headed out the room to continue. He dropped his voice to a whisper. Then she will literally drain your bodies dry. The doctor looked back and pointed to the painting. Is that really the owner above the fireplace? Abraham nodded. They pushed open the double doors. Silence. To their right sat a staircase illuminated by a single walled lamp at the bottom, leaving the rest of the steps to ascend into darkness. Their left held larger doors, a midnight breeze creeping through the cracks, rattling hinges. In a moment, Abraham's relief washed over his face. The doctor encouraged the boy towards Mr. Siter. If you take Gregory, I can find Agatha, hopefully before the owner does. Abraham raised an eyebrow. What is Miss Papyrus doing here? Some last-minute practicing for tomorrow. You can thank her for me getting into the manor. His heart stopped. She went to find the owner. I'll need to act fast. Abraham peered up the steps. Am I to assume that she went up there? The doctor rushed to the door handle, gripping it tightly before attempting to fling it open. It took his strength from both that and his shoulder barging into the wood.
We can't get out.
Gregory rushed to his side. The doctor shook his head. The door is just one way of escaping, my young friend. Fortunately, I know another. He began to stride back through the first room, heading straight towards the tattered door to the spiraled staircase. The doctor gestured to it. Abraham, take the boy back the way we came. Abraham darted in front of him. That's just it, Doctor. I came through the front door. The slow echo of descending footsteps chimed through the room. Its rumble rippled through their bodies. Gregory lunged towards the door, pleading to the pair.
Please, I know it.
Abraham clenched his fist. Doctor, get away from here. No chance. The doctor tracked the movements. The steps grew closer. I asked you to get the child from the mansion. You were also to avoid the owner if you could help it. Let me stay here and deal with her. Abraham span a dagger in his grasp before readying it. His words shredded the higher-class tone their meeting held. The doctor chuckled, patting Abraham on the back. A shudder shot through Mr. Siter, causing him to drop the dagger and hurry to pick it up. If there is one thing you should know by now, it is the simple fact that I enjoy not doing what you tell me. He eased the knife from Abraham's grasp before telling Gregory, if you go through the door, you will find a long staircase. Stick close to the wall until you reach the bottom. There will be another door. It will be your escape. Do you understand? Gregory shook his head. The small boy started to protest but then fell as silent as the room. Quiet humbled the trio for only a brief moment before the double doors burst open.
Dr. Smith, did you find her yet?
Agatha stepped through the dark, illuminated brilliantly by a simple candle whose handle she clutched carefully. She bowed to Mr. Siter.
I see you have brought another guest for the house. Do you have an invite as well?
Sir, we must run.
The boy cried out. His hands grew red as he gripped the door.
Quickly!
Do not be frightened, child. My name is Agatha. What is yours?
Gregory did not reply. He frantically reached out for the doctor, who leaned in closer to the boy as the others spoke. Agatha Papyrus? Abraham outstretched a business hand. Mr. Siter, I would like to know where the owner is. Agatha clicked her tongue. A smile wiggled its way across her soft lips. Instead of a reply, a small giggle slipped out. The hostess straightened herself with a clearing cough. She breathed in deeply, only to erupt into a cackle which rocked the room. Agatha, still laughing, launched herself forward towards the boy, a candle dropping to the floor extinguished. The doctor blocked her path. She stopped. As she pulled away, the fireplace burst into life once more. Along with its cackles, the sound of Agatha's body hitting the floor, knife embedded into her chest, shot through the trio. By the gods! Abraham turned to the doctor. What little colour the man had in his face drained away, with eyes pleading to escape. Doctor, we must get going now! Agatha lay still, an unnaturally wide grin plastered onto her face. He watched for the blood seeping from the wound. Nothing. Gregory opened the door behind him. The cool rush of hollow air made the doctor's hair rigid. He raised himself back onto his feet slowly, eyes lingering on Agatha even as Mr. Siter slipped his hand into his jacket pocket to pull out a small handgun. Now you know why I gave you this, Abraham muttered. Mr. Siter, the doctor growled. He felt the boy's eyes on him as he spoke. Please explain this manner so that we might properly deal with it. Agatha rolled her eyes before jumping to her feet to dust herself off.
It is quite rude not to play along for at least a little while. It had been too long since someone stabbed me.
She tugged the blade out from her chest. The skin pulled itself closed, forgetting the dagger was ever there. Agatha sniffed the air and licked her lips.
So, you're the doctor.
She eyed Abraham.
I didn't expect another Duke of Sangris to be with you.
Abraham hurried Gregory through the door. The only thing we have in common, I can assure you. The doctor scowled. More things you didn't tell me, Mr. Siter? A devilish crimson shine flashed across Agatha's expression. Her teeth gleamed amidst the fire, two pearl fangs growing with her chortle. The warmth of the blaze faded away, but its light did not.
Oh, Gregory!
Agatha called out.
I am hungry!
A blur swept past the doctor's face. A thunder of a gun did little against Agatha's screech as she launched herself at Abraham. She grabbed Mr. Siter and sent him careening into one of the sofas. Abraham quickly recovered. He rushed her with bare teeth, more instinct than gentleman. He wrapped his hands around her neck. Agatha savagely kicked Abraham away, sending him hurtling into the wall, stones crumbling around him. He swore and pushed himself out of the wall, dropping onto the floor with heavy breaths. His eyes widened as he turned to the doctor. Stop her! The doctor turned in time to catch the point of the blade before his eyes. With a grin, the doctor stepped aside of the blade. He aimed his two fingers at select points at her neck. His hearts charged to their duty once the scream of Miss Papyrus shot through him to his core. The doctor's jab caught her off guard. She crashed down into the floor. Before he could take any satisfaction from it, Abraham grabbed his shoulder tightly and ushered him through the open door. Adrenaline and luck kept the doctor from stumbling down the steps alongside Mr. Siter, while the unmistakable grunts of a terrified child told him just how far Gregory had gotten. We have to get back outside, Abraham warned. Once we do, we will hold an advantage. The doctor took no guilt in his joy at the thought of pushing Mr. Siter off the steps. You better start giving some clear answers, he ordered, preferably quickly. Agatha's enraged cursing translates into any tongue quite well.
How much further?
Gregory called back. Not far, answered the doctor instinctively. Abraham looked up, surveying the entrance for Agatha. I don't believe we have the time. I'm a Time Lord, Siter. I can make time. Now talk. Abraham paused for a moment. A fair point, Doctor. Agatha and I are both Dukes of Sangris, though she is much older than I. Another race? A curse, you could say. A curse with enhanced strength and durability. A compensation for a need for... He hesitated, looking at Gregory. Dinner. The doctor straightened himself. Dinner? A liquid dinner, to put it tactfully. A shape rushed past the pair. It halted the two in their tracks, giving time for Gregory to run back up to meet them before a crash that shook the entire staircase sent him to his knees. Around the spiral staircase, one at a time, torches began to flicker into life. Agatha stood at the bottom of the steps, both eyes still sparkling with her smile. She tapped her foot to the music of destruction.
Now, this is what I like for my guest. A way of spicing up my eternal existence. Conversations are quickly forgotten. Moments like this do. They will last forever. For myself, of course. You three shall not have to worry about bearing them for much longer.
She turned to Mr. Saito once more.
I'm willing not to report this to the coven, if you will be my guest and quench your thirst alongside me.
Abraham blocked the doctor. He ushered Gregory behind him. The doctor's admiration for Mr. Saito grew with the range in his voice. Report me? You think that explaining to the other dukes that you thought it was all right to steal a child for a personal blood supply is a reasonable idea? Abraham held Gregory close and grabbed the doctor's arm. Do you have a plan? Asked the doctor, but the words fell on numb ears. Abraham continued. Did you ask the boy's parents? No. Did you look after the child? Absolutely not. You trapped him in a dank cellar with only the dirt to keep him warm. You break our most sacred rules, but dare to report me? With Gregory and the doctor in tow, he leapt down to the ground. Abraham released Gregory, who swiftly darted away. The doctor backed away towards the door, trying to grasp the situation while Abraham moved closer. Mr. Saito shakily aimed his pistol. The recoil sent the bullet rocketing into Agatha's cheek. He didn't have time to regain the nobleman rage before Agatha, talons bursting through the bones of her fingers, swiped at Abraham. The doctor pulled away in time. Would that have even worked? Abraham nodded. In the daylight, it will kill her. Gregory scrambled to the ladder at the end, gaze darting from it and the two young men screeching to a halt in front of him. The morning sun seeped in, shining on the dust floating in the air. Nearly there now, the doctor encouraged. Up that ladder is the outside world, and then it's just a field away from the town itself. A smile creaked onto Gregory's face. He scarpered up the iron bars, stumbling, but not letting any whack to his knees deteriorate his speed. Just as the boy reached the top, his hands shaking on the edge of the wooden hole, a gust of wind blew through the tunnel, taking out the torches. Gregory, quickly get out before we're killed, pleaded Abraham. The doctor stepped in. We will both be fine, Gregory. Abraham and I do this sort of thing quite often. Before you ask, he does indeed panic like this each time. The boy pulled himself up through the entrance out of sight. No sooner had the calm raised a finger to announce itself, a giggling Agatha strolled through the corridor. In a burst, she went from a nightmare's distance to a hand embedded in the wall. Up the stairs! The pair chorused. Abraham shoulder-barged Agatha into the ground. The doctor seized his moment, using the hostess's back as a step to jump up the ladder. With Abraham's scream came the tearing of cloth and flesh. The doctor launched himself down into Agatha, who sat on Abraham gleefully until she felt the force of the doctor's foot in her shallow, pale neck. Drops of black blood spurted from Abraham's mouth as he caught his breath to speak. What are you doing? The doctor twisted himself around, avoiding Agatha's swipes. We are both getting out of here. Get yourself up that ladder. Whatever protest Abraham had died in a fit of coughing. He nodded, making his way up the iron bars as the doctor got in what jabs he could while feeling her cold breath closing in each time he dodged her grip. His heart beat faster, growing ever more aware that he couldn't keep it up for long. A shudder surged through his body, turning his world into a black and white painting the moment that Agatha locked her hand around his wrist.
Relax,
she cooed.
You are much too entertaining to dispose of. Rest assured, you will have a better room than the boy.
On childish instinct, the doctor clamped his teeth on Agatha's hands, causing her to release him to bound up the ladder to a biting morning air above. The feel of grass beneath his boots put a shame to all the giant wonders of the universe. Agatha's hand came crashing down the edge of the entrance. The sunrise choked it. Smooth skin festered away into a zigzag of wrinkles. The doctor stepped back. He stopped when his boot met the tired form of an old man, garbed in Abraham's clothes, breathing deeply amongst the tall grass. The woman from the painting in the mansion emerged from the hole, withering in her movements as she clambered onto her feet. Along with the familiar welcome song of the morning birds, a high, harsh sizzle filled the air. The old woman looked at the doctor with shaking eyes.
All I wanted was food,
she pleaded.
Stay with me, please. As I said, I will give you the finest room I have to offer. You will never be hungry again. All I ask is your body.
I am the doctor.
I know who you are. All sins would be forgiven if you just let me drink.
Food. The most basic need could drive people so very far in their lives. Empires rose, planets burned, all in the name of food. No, this was more than food. In the night, Agatha had held such delight in the hunt. A bullet shot past his ears. Silence fell upon the birds, giving way to the lingering echo of the shot. Before Agatha's body could meet the ground, the morning wind cast her body aside as dust, it crumbling away into a pile of clothes. The rustling grass revealed Gregory, who rushed to hug the doctor's legs as tightly as the exhaustion would allow. The doctor took a deep breath. He rested his hand on the child's head, stroking the boy's hair to comfort both of them. His gaze lingered on the shaking old Abraham, a gun still pointing at where Agatha once stood. "If they ask, you did it," came Abraham's creaking voice. The old man's quivering arm dropped the gun. The doctor allowed himself a grin. "This whole thing has been a mess." Abraham bowed weakly. "I should have told you the full details. Sometimes our roles..." "You can report to your client that the job is done." The doctor scowled. "I will get Gregory back home." Abraham let out a gasping chuckle. "I doubt after this the other dukes will let your punishment slide." "I'm sure you'll think of a new one. Maybe next time you'll actually tell me what I will do." "Will do?" "Time is complicated when you travel in it. I can watch an empire fall before I see its emperor born." "I'm not sure I understand." Abraham stumbled as he stepped forward. The doctor sighed, any anger he had falling away to exhaustion. "In that case you can come with me. I can explain it while escorting Gregory home." Abraham looked to the boy, who averted his shivering gaze. "I would be happy to. Can we take it slow?" The doctor's limbs cried out their approval. "We could use the rest." He reached his hand down, beginning his walk when he felt the smaller fingers wrap around his own. "It gives us plenty of time to talk."